Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Triple Play Podcast. Coming to you live after the first day of like big NFL action on Sunday. So, going to be a lot of recapping today. Nick, I will let you tell them kind of what we're going to try to run down in each game.
We're gonna kind of just go over all the games and then kind of compare it to what we thought was gonna happen. Tell y'all like some of the things that we think you should and shouldn't be worried about. Just things like that.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing is like, do I overreact to this or do I just brush this off?
Yeah.
That's the main thing, and we're thinking the same thing, with our fantasy teams and our players, and our teams that we like because Nick, we were 0 for 2 today in the pursuit of our teams doing well. So
Actually, I was there for
just
three.
0 for 3 in the pursuit of your teams doing well.
All three professional sports teams that I
Oh,
actually
I know
care
what
if
you're
they
talking
win,
about.
they
Yeah.
all were down, either came back and tied or took the lead in the last quarter or last inning of the game, and every one of them lost.
Yeah, the Braves one I think stings the most because you just knew that
Don't.
Kenley
Hey,
Jansen was
no,
going to
no,
come.
no, no, no,
Okay,
don't get into it. Don't get into it with me right now, bro.
okay,
I ain't in the mood.
okay. It's tough. It's
Mm-mm.
tough. But
I ain't over
anyway,
it.
we went to me and Nick and actually my buddy Josh that I grew up with and everything. We all went down to the Panthers game. I had a great time, great
Oh yeah.
atmosphere. The crowd was rocking. Too
Oh
many
yeah.
too many Browns fans in the stadium,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
dude, like it was hype. They started playing some ball in the second half.
Hmm.
I enjoyed it. I really did. But anyway, Nick, do you want to pick the first game that we talk about?
Um, I don't know if I want to talk about one of my disappointments first, so we can talk about we can talk about Dolphins Patriots first. That's one I kind of like. It was kind of
Okay,
close to
yeah,
how I think we thought it would go.
yeah, absolutely. As far as the Dolphins and Patriots, obviously the Dolphins won 20-7. Not, like you said, me and you were kind of spot on with what we thought.
Hmm.
Just lack of offense from the Patriots, too many weapons from the Dolphins.
Yeah.
As far as the Patriots, we'll just talk about the Patriots first, real
Yeah.
quick. Mac Jones, 213 yards, a touchdown, and interception. Not
I
totally
mean,
terrible.
21 for 30, 213 yards and a touchdown and an
No.
interception ain't that bad. Like that honestly, I don't think 20-7 does Mac Jones justice in this game. I think he was a little better than maybe that score shows.
Yeah, and then in the backfield, you've got Damian Harris with 9 carries for 48, Ramondre Stevenson 8 carries for 25. Then Jacoby Myers is actually he's a wide receiver. Mac Jones is the quarterback. Then you got Ty Montgomery who had 2 carries for -2. Get me out of this backfield immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
had I had some Ramondre Stevenson stock on the bench, and I've already let go of that stock.
yeah.
He was the least impressive. Well, obviously Ty Montgomery not the greatest, but he's more of a receiving back, and he did catch a touchdown. But
Mhm.
Damian Harris looked a lot better than Ramondre Stevenson carrying the ball. So receiving, I, if you're trying to start a receiver from the New England Patriots, good luck to you. Like, that's all I got to say. Nothing really stand out. Like I said, Ty Montgomery got the only touchdown. He had 3 receptions for 15 yards. Leading receiver was Jacoby Myers at 4 receptions for 55 yards. Not
Yeah.
something that you want on your fantasy team.
No, and I mean, and I think it's kind of crazy to me I, that Jones can like pass for 213 yards and have 21 completions and the most anyone has is four.
Yeah, and
And he
that
and he
comes with
completed passes to like
nine
eight,
different
yeah,
receivers.
nine different
Nine.
receivers. That's nuts.
That's saying that's not good for fantasy.
No, yeah, that's a
Uh,
terrible like fantasy receiver core there.
on the other hand, we will go over to the Dolphins, who had some
Hey,
viable fantasy options.
oh yeah.
Tua 270-1. I not a stellar fantasy day per se, but a good looking quarterback day
Hmm.
for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I think Tyreek Hill 8 receptions, 94 yards. He didn't have a touchdown. I
Yeah.
thought he was going to catch a couple, but I mean, can't always predict the future. But 8 receptions, 94 yards. That's what I'm looking for from him and Tua. Like
And
that's not bad.
by far the most targets with 12. The
Yeah,
next closest person was 5.
and was that Waddle?
That was Waddle.
Yeah, and he had
Now,
4 receptions for 69 yards and a touchdown, which is
yeah.
nice. You know,
So
that's
salvaged a
nice.
day, a
Yeah,
42-yard bomb,
yeah.
but I do think you have to be at least a little concerned that you only had 5 targets.
hmm I'll agree. I'll agree.
I think the biggest red flags, Chase Edmonds, 12 carries, 25 yards.
Yeah.
That's not good. And then he did have 4 receptions for 40 yards. So, he brought you back there, had 8 points in the receiving category, but
hmm
he only had 10.5 on the week. So, you're worried about that. That didn't feel good whatsoever. And then I
Right.
think also you got to mention that Mike Gesicki, 1 reception, 1 yard on
1 yard. Yeah.
1 target.
Not a good
So
look. Not a good
no, I
look.
don't think you're playing tight ends on the Dolphins side of the ball. But
Mm-mm.
the game went the way we thought it would.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I'll throw out a game and we'll try to get another not so high scoring affair. Let's go Bears 49ers right here.
Uh,
I mean, obviously, I don't think we were the only people that thought the 49ers were just going to handle the Bears. I think they were like a 7-point favorite, sportsbook wise. Like
yeah.
that's insane. Like the biggest margin of anybody this week, tied for the biggest margin that is. And the other game didn't go the way everybody thought it would either. So, um, any just initial reactions on that?
One. I think you have to worry a little bit about Trey Lance. Like, I mean, 13 for 28. I don't care how bad it was raining.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty bad. That's
164, no touchdowns and a
yeah,
pick.
yeah. That's not good.
And I
That's not
think I think what frustrates me the most is his average was 5.9 yards per, completion. That's really low.
per
That's
completion.
Yeah.
It would be like 12 per pass. It might be like
Oh, well, I've
5.
got it okay. Well, I've got it right here. Sorry, I was reading the wrong thing. It
Oh,
does
you're
say
good. You're good.
per pass
Yeah.
5. Per pass 5. Like it's just not like I don't know. It just everybody was hyping him up, hyping him up, hyping him up, and it could have got to his head. You never know.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I'd give it another week or maybe 2 weeks, and if he's still looking like a 13 for 28, I just think they need to give it back to Jimmy G. To be honest with you.
Yeah. I know they're really trying to move on to what they assume would be bigger and better things with Trey Lance, but
Mhm.
if they think that they can win this year and Trey Lance is not, the guy this year, then obviously they need to make the move back.
Yep.
You don't feel good about Elijah Mitchell as well. 6 carries, 41 yards. That's great.
Yeah.
Six carries. 6 carries.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, Trey Lance had 13 carries. Debo Samuel had 8 carries.
Yeah.
Wilson Jr. had 9 carries himself and was only averaging 2.4 yards a carry.
And
Like,
what's getting me is Debo. Am I seeing 8 targets, 2 receptions?
yeah, so you're feeling
That's
you're
it's
feeling
not good.
mixed about Debo for sure because that's great that he rushed 8 times for 52 yards and a touchdown. That's great. But you need the reception points. A lot
Yeah.
of people are playing PPR. You need the reception points to feel
Now
good about Debo.
the 8 targets feels good
Oh
along
yeah,
with
that's
the
that's
rushes,
yeah, absolutely. That's
But
16 opportunities.
yeah, yeah. But what scares me is I didn't watch the game, so I don't know if it's a Debo not catching the ball or a Trey Lance not making it even close where he can make a play on it. Because I
Yeah.
think Debo is a baller that can make any kind of crazy athletic play.
Oh,
That
for
yeah,
sure,
he
for
can make a
sure. So
crazy play.
I would assume it's a Trey Lance issue.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
gonna assume
a
for sure.
couple other things like I said, we were talking about Elijah Mitchell, 6 for 41. That's great, but he didn't get targeted a single time in the passing game either. So as your starting running back, you were kind of hoping that Elijah Mitchell would do a little more, and he just didn't. There's too many people taking a piece of the pie in the
Mhm.
rushing game, and
Yeah,
he didn't even get a look in the passing game. And then some other people were talking about Brandon Ayuk. Okay, well he got targeted twice for 2 receptions and 40 yards. So more of the same for Mr. Brandon Ayuk as far as starting the season out slow.
hmm
But we'll go over to the winning side of the ball, if you want to call it that. Uh, Justin Fields, 8 completions, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. 85.7 passer rating. Not absolutely totally terrible, but the guy only had to complete 8 passes in the game, so I don't
But I
think you're
mean,
writing home to mom.
no,
No.
absolutely not. Um, 11 rushes for 28 yards helps you out a little bit with Justin Fields, maybe.
Yeah, it would have been
But
nice to have a touchdown in there
yeah,
for
but I mean,
sure.
he threw for 2 touchdowns, so that helps a lot too. That's 12 points right there just off that.
Yeah, your best receiver in that situation was supposed to be Darnell Mooney. He had 3 targets, 1 reception, 8 yards. The only bright spot was a 51-yard play to Dante Pettis, and honestly, he did about 30 yards of the work by himself anyway. I know we saw that on the big screen at the Carolina game. Uh, so I'd say hands off this receiving core for the foreseeable future.
Yeah,
Cole
yeah,
Kmet was a late round tight end that everybody was excited about. He studded you with a 0. So the rushing game didn't look much better. David Montgomery, 17 carries for 26 yards, a yard and
that's
a half per
yeah,
carry.
that's pitiful.
And then
Uh,
Khalil Herbert vultures the touchdown on his 9 carries for 45 yards. Looked a lot better, obviously, than David Montgomery, but they've been pretty, adamant that David Montgomery is supposed to be the guy. So I don't know. An ugly game all the way around, 19-10 for Chicago. We obviously thought that San Francisco was going to handle business in this game.
yeah, I did.
Um, so I don't think anybody should get excited about what Chicago can do. I think everybody should be worried about what San Francisco is going to be able to do.
Yeah,
And just, I think that's the opinion you have to go forward with.
yeah.
I'll let you pick the next one.
I'm gonna have to rip the Band-Aid off at some point. Bengal Steelers. Let's talk about it.
Bengals Steelers, one of our overtime games this week. Obviously, the elephant in the room, the Bengals offensive line.
Yeah. I think it might have gotten worse. Somehow. That's pretty incredible to me that it got worse. I mean, how many, dude?
He got sacked 7 times.
He got sacked 7 times. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and
That's
you're
ridiculous.
like, oh, but he threw 4 picks. Okay, well, he got sacked 7 times too. If you got somebody breathing
And
down your neck all the time, I mean,
yeah, and one of the interceptions was he was going back to throw it and got hit, just rocked, and he threw the ball up, and T.J. Watt just like caught it and fell on it, and like
yeah,
I'm like that's just like a cheapo interception, like that's a bad looking like pick, like yeah, 4 interceptions, it does scare me. He had 3 of them, I think, in their first 5 drives, and then
yeah.
after that and I think the fourth one was that weird one. So I think after that he was much better. And I chalk it up to a weird day. The Steelers played good. They showed up. They showed up, and Burrow did not in the first half.
And they took advantage of their opportunities.
Exactly.
Yeah, they didn't create a lot of their own, but they took
Hey,
advantage of the ones that the Bengals gave them.
yep. He had 3 picks in the first and second quarter, like in total. They scored
Yep.
10 in the first and 7 in the second.
Yep. So that Joe Burrow stat line, I have 338 for 2 and 4 interceptions.
Yep.
He also had 6 carries for 47 yards.
Mm-hmm.
You like that as a fantasy owner. As a
Mm-hmm.
fantasy owner, that's a nice 4.7
That makes
points to
that
have.
makes you feel good.
I don't think you can feel bad about Joe Mixon in this game. I
I
know
think
that he did.
I think he scored like 20 fantasy points. I
Yeah,
mean, he was
he
fine.
didn't score a touchdown, and he only averaged 3 yards a rush, but 27 carries for 82, 7
7
receptions
receptions,
makes you feel
six
really good.
and 63 yards on those 7 receptions.
Yeah,
That makes me feel
nine
really
nine
good about Joe Mixon.
targets.
Yeah,
He was
makes me feel
second on the
great
team
about
in
Joe Mixon.
targets. So you're feeling good about that. Obviously his target count may have went up with the T. Higgins injury situation. But as far as the wide receivers go, Jamar Chase balled out. We knew
Yep.
that was going to happen. 16 targets, 10 receptions for 129 and 1. He's a stud. You knew
Yep.
that.
Everybody knows it.
I'm interested in Tyler Boyd going forward just because of the T. Higgins situation.
Yeah, I agree.
I would also be interested in Hayden Hurst, who
Mm-hmm.
who was a higher draft capital pick for the Baltimore Ravens. Never really got the looks he needed. I think he went to Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
after that, maybe. And then now he's found himself here in Cincinnati. They do not have Umanzana anymore, or
Yeah.
Uzama, CJ Uzama. They don't have him anymore. So, I mean, 8 targets, 5 receptions, 46. That's 11.6 fantasy points for a tight end. You're not sleeping on that
It's not that bad.
by any means. So, we'll see what his targets do next week.
Yeah.
But we'll go over to the winning side of the ball. And you don't see as flashy numbers on the winning side of the ball here. They just capitalized on mistakes.
Well, you got to remember they had a pick six, and
Yep.
and had like 2 fumble recoveries and 2 other picks. Other than that, like it's really the Bengals blew this game. Like maybe
Hmm.
the Steelers scored 23 no matter what, but the Bengals probably had a chance to score 40.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. Mitch Trubisky, 194 and 1. 21 for 38 isn't the greatest.
Mm-mm.
Obviously, didn't throw a pick, so tried not to hurt himself too bad. Carries, we had Najee Harris had 10 carries for 23, and we think that there is an injury situation in that. I think you said that it might be a Lisfranc fracture, which would be pretty much season ending
Yeah.
most of the time. I think what was interesting to me the most, Chase Claypool, 6 carries for 36.
I wonder, will he be like a primary like rusher? Like what? Like what? Like I don't
Yeah,
understand what they're
because
doing
he
with
had
that.
6 targets. That's great, but he had just as many carries. Are we trying to, he's an athlete by all means.
Yeah,
Are we trying a Debo Samuel situation where like, hey, give your athlete the ball?
maybe. It
Uh,
could. I could see
Possibility.
it.
Um, as far as receiving, you felt pretty good about Pat Fryermuth. I
Oh
felt pretty
yeah.
good about it. 5 receptions for 75 on 10 targets. Anytime you hit double-digit targets, you're feeling good.
Hmm.
Deontay Johnson had 12 targets, 7 for 55. You're not feeling, awesome, but you're feeling good about 12 targets.
Hmm.
The targets were very, very like specific to Fryermuth and Johnson. Claypool had 6. After that, standout, rookie standout Pickens only had 3. It really fell off pretty
Yeah.
hard. And if Najee Harris is not in the backfield taking some targets out of the backfield, I think that Fryermuth, Johnson, and Claypool now even with the carries that he's getting could be some very interesting fantasy options going
Yeah.
forward.
I agree. And I
Absolutely.
think honestly that this shows that the Steelers, I think, have the defense that doesn't allow you to make very many mistakes, and they can keep themselves in ball games against better teams for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
losing Najee Harris might almost eliminate that. It might just counteract itself.
And are we also confirming the TJ Watt loss? Because he got hurt as well, correct?
Yeah. If they lose T.J. Watt and Najee Harris, that's the 2 best players on their team.
I would
Uh,
say so.
and that's like the worst thing that could happen. You're feeling great. You just beat the Super Bowl runner up, or the loser in the Super Bowl from last year, 23-20 on opening week.
Yeah.
But then you lose,
Your
Najee
best
Harris.
player on offense and your
And
best player on defense.
yeah, like literally,
Yeah.
that's got to be the biggest like kick in the pants I've ever seen.
Yeah, you're probably going into Monday feeling like, man, I thought we should be happy,
Yeah,
But anyway, I'm gonna, go back up here to the Saints Falcons. Let's hit a juicy one here.
yeah,
Saints come back and make us truth tellers at least with the win here, 27-26. Atlanta synonymous with blowing things apparently. Today wasn't a good day for Atlanta sports. It just was not.
no,
But they come back and get the job done. We'll go over New Orleans stats first. Jameis
yeah,
Winston, 269 for 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I think that's the biggest sigh of
not bad.
relief. I know his QBR wasn't the greatest, but as long
Yeah,
as he's not throwing picks, I'm probably pretty sure that New Orleans is happy to have him.
yeah,
As far as rushing, this is where it gets weird. Alvin Kamara, 9 for 39. Not,
that's not
not him.
impressive. Nope.
Taysom Hill obviously busted out the 57-yard touchdown.
Mm,
We're always interested to see how they use him. I wouldn't get totally excited. You never know when that guy's actually going to be on the field being used and when he's not. You're concerned about Kamara right now because Kamara
yeah,
only had 4 targets out of the backfield too, 3 receptions, 7 yards.
yep.
So you're not feeling the greatest about Kamara after this first game.
Nope. You're
Um,
I honestly, I give it one more week on Kamara, and if he's still like putting up the low numbers like this, I think you might have to take a chance on sitting him and starting somebody else if you can.
Yeah, it's weird that they scored 27 points and Kamara wasn't a bigger part of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, they went, he went with Michael Thomas twice in the end zone.
Yep.
He had five receptions and two of them were touchdowns.
Yeah, Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas far and away the most targets at 9 and 8. Landry had 7 for 114. That's probably the most we've seen Landry perform lately, the
Yeah,
last couple years and everything. I like it. I'm all here for it. I like Jarvis Landry. Think he's a great player. And then, like you said, Michael Thomas seems to be the guy, maybe he's running the routes that need to be running the end zone. He's a big
yeah,
guy. He's a
yeah.
tall guy. He should be getting targets in the end zone, so it makes sense. Um, Rookie wide receiver Chris Olave, 3 targets, 3 receptions, 41 yards. I don't think you're upset, but if you started him, obviously you wanted more, but I don't think you can be upset going forward. You just hope the target amount increases.
Yeah.
Um, it's one of those things where either they're going to revert back a little bit with Kamara and some of these wide receivers are going to be a little upset that their targets go down, or they're going to continue forward with what they're doing. So
Yeah.
only time will tell on this one.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the Falcons for just a minute. Marcus Mariota, 215 yards passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Did not hurt himself. He did, however, have 12 for 72 on the ground and a tutty. So Marcus Mariota on the ground, still a lethal weapon.
Apparently, Cordero Patterson on the ground is still a lethal weapon as well.
Apparently.
22 carries for 120 yards and a tutty.
And what are we saying about like a Saints defense that we were actually singing praises on the other day?
Yeah.
Not feeling good about it.
Absolutely not.
Only 215 passing yards, but it's also Marcus Mariota. He's not
Yeah.
a prolific passer in the first
Right.
place.
Right.
But when you rush for over 200 total rushing yards, again, that's not good.
No.
That's really troublesome for sure because there's a lot of good running backs in this division.
Yeah.
You got to think about they've got to go against Christian McCaffrey, and they've also got to go against Leonard Fournette, who was
Yeah.
looking pretty good in the first half against Dallas.
Hey, he's looking good right now. I'm watching him on the TV. I gotta keep up with
Exactly.
him.
Exactly. So on the receiving end of things, I'll talk about the biggest, like, hey, that's a good thing. Drake London, 5 receptions on 7 targets, 74 yards. So you're feeling better about him than you were Chris Olave on the other side.
Yep.
London was questionable coming in, and it looks like he's going to be a piece. 31 yard long. He looks like he's going to be a deep threat. If Marcus Mario is willing to take chances, that's great. But I will let you talk about what we are disappointed in.
I'm assuming you're talking about Kyle Pitts.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 receptions for 19. That's not what you're looking for if you took Kyle Pitts in your draft. You're expecting bare minimum like 15 out of Kyle Pitts every game.
Yeah, I'm thinking you need to be expecting double-digit targets every game as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Now if
With this
Cordero Patterson having that much success on the ground and Marcus Mariota doing the same, I could see where that would hurt things a little bit.
Yeah.
I do question if they're on the same page though. 7 targets, 2 receptions. That doesn't sound like very good numbers
Again, I
there.
think that might be Mariota's problem and not a Pitts problem. I mean, Pitts has never had a problem catching the ball if it's thrown to him.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Another thing with Patterson, he got 3 receptions for 16 yards. That's an extra, 4.5 points?
And I'm surprised it wasn't more.
Yeah.
Because
it might be.
It would have been if he wasn't running the ball so well.
Yeah.
Because if the run game's not working for them, they'll just start swing passing it to him like crazy.
Yeah.
Honestly, as long as the targets stay up for Kyle Pitts, I think you have to stay up on Kyle Pitts, in my opinion.
For sure.
Don't get worried. Like I said, they played a good team in a close ball game, what we assume is a good team. So I don't think it's time to get completely worried just yet.
No, definitely not.
But obviously, that one close to being a pretty good little upset week 1.
Yeah.
Okay, who you got next?
I mean, you want to talk about? Did we talk about Eagles and Lions yet?
We did not.
All right, let's talk about Eagles.
I almost called it.
Please.
My bold prediction on the 1 o'clock games was that the Lions could beat the Eagles, and it was close. It was close. Both these teams played great. You wanted a fantasy option in this game. Fantasy options in this game were beautiful. Nick, any thoughts about just how high scoring both these teams were?
I expected the Eagles to score a lot. I remember that.
Yeah,
I didn't think. Well, I think part of it, honestly, was DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams just going ham for no reason.
yeah.
And Amon-Ra St. Brown. Hey, Luke, if you're watching this, buddy, I'm sorry for making fun of the Amon-Ra St. Brown pick. He literally had more points this week than Tyreek Hill. I can't say anything to you now.
I will say, you're calling into question this Philadelphia defense. You can say all you
For
want.
sure.
The offense looked good. Well, you're calling into question both defenses because both
Yeah.
offenses look good. Not a ton of defense in this one. On the Philadelphia side, Jalen Hurts 243 passing. That's a pretty good passing line for him. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Didn't hurt himself. But this is where Jalen Hurts makes his money. 17 carries, 90 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So you're very, very happy with what Jalen Hurts did for you today. They really took the foot off the gas in the second half. So I'd like to see them in some closer ball games and see what happens from there.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders, 13 carries, 96 yards, and a touchdown. That is a sigh of relief for anybody who got Miles Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing you also notice is that Kenneth Gainwell and Byron Scott both had rushing touchdowns as well. They just kept running the ball and running the ball all second half with all three of these guys. And just so happened that even though they only had 22 touches combined, they had 3 touchdowns combined, and about 130 yards or so. So interesting. You don't want to see this spread out if you're a Miles Sanders owner, obviously.
Mm-mm.
You would like, Miles Sanders, seeing as he's the lead back, that he should have 3 touchdowns. That's what you
Yeah.
want. But it's just it's always been this way in Philadelphia. You should assume that Gainwell and Byron Scott are going to get 2 or 3 touches apiece at least every game. You
Yeah.
just hope that it's not in a situation where they are vulturing touchdowns from Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the big man, A.J. Brown, 10 receptions for 155, had a 54-yard long. Did not have a touchdown in this one, though, so.
But the 10 for 155 makes you feel good.
Oh, great.
It
Yes.
makes you feel good about AJ Brown.
Yep. I mean, they are going to force feed A.J. Brown, it seems. Force feed.
Now, I was honestly like in most leagues, I look for Devontae Smith on my bench.
Yep.
0 receptions.
On 4 targets. It wasn't like they didn't just throw it to him at all.
But
He
that does
actually,
scare me a
yeah,
little
he
bit.
was tied with Goddard and Gainwell for the second most targets behind A.J. Brown's 13. And that is pretty scary, seeing as he had so much success throwing it to A.J. Brown,
Yeah.
but he didn't have that success throwing it to Devontae Smith. So you wonder whose problem it is. And you
Yeah.
wonder how long a quarterback would put up with something like that whenever they could
Right.
just throw it somewhere else.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think it's time to get worried too much about Goddard yet. I'd say, stay the course with
Yeah.
Goddard, in my opinion.
I
On the
would.
line side of the ball, Jared Goff, 21 completions for 37 after 37 attempts, 215, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. You hate to see the interception. A lot of incomplete passes, but not a terrible, terrible line. 215 and two. Two rush. He had 2 carries for 9 yards. He's not a rusher. Uh, but kept his team in it. Good enough.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the running back situation real quick?
What for the Lions?
Yeah, for the Lions.
I mean, Swift, 15 carries, 144 yards, and a touchdown. That makes you feel real good.
And a
But
50-yard long. He's going to bust out big plays all year, I feel
oh
like.
yeah, oh yeah. But what I think does scare you a little bit is Swift having 1 touchdown and Jamal Williams having 2.
Yeah, I think it's pretty
That's
obvious that Jamal Williams is going to be the goal line back.
and that's unfortunate.
That hurts. That does hurt
Yeah.
you as a fantasy owner. When you get inside the 10, you're supposed to feel good about it. But when you get inside maybe even the 20 with the Detroit Lions, Swift may be jogging off the field and Jamal Williams
Mm-hmm.
may be coming in. Um, aforementioned Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 receptions, 64 yards, and a touchdown on 12 targets. So several more targets than the next guy behind him. DJ Chark had 4 receptions for 52 yards and a touchdown as well. TJ Hawkinson is somebody that you might would have started on your team. 4 receptions, 38 yards, but had 7 targets. So
Yeah.
uh, really, and I know I keep saying targets, targets, targets. I look at targets week 1 more than anything because that is who the quarterback is trying to get the ball to, whether
Yeah.
it's working or whether it's not. Sometimes they just can't help it. They just force it anyway, and if it's not working, it's not working.
Right. Um, I mean, Swift getting, 3 receptions. I mean, I guess you're more hoping that he busts out long touchdown runs throughout the year. Because if
Yeah,
he's not going to be the goal line back, you're hoping he either can bust out the 20-yard runs or like the 60-yard runs.
exactly. And if you are getting a reception with Swift, you're hoping it's a swing pass that he
Yeah.
just like busts out of nowhere and just
Yeah.
75 yards to the house.
Right.
He's going to be a home run hitter for sure this year. I
Hmm.
look forward to seeing what the Lions do going forward. We've got 4 more 1 o'clock games that we really should probably try to get to in this video, so we can lightly go over this next one because I don't think it's a contest. Ravens Jets.
Yeah, that was honestly it was a little closer than I expected. I figured the Ravens would run over them a little more,
Yeah.
but 24-9 is still a pretty fairly dominant win.
Yeah,
But
Lamar Jackson, 3 passing touchdowns. You felt good about that.
mhm.
Not a lot of yards though. The running backs, you're not worried about the running backs right now because you know that J.K. Dobbins is going to come back at some point.
Mhm.
Bateman, 2 for 59. You feel bad about the 2. You feel good about the touchdown though.
Yeah,
And then oh goodness, I can't remember this guy's first name.
Duver.
Devin Duvernay.
Yeah,
Yep, Devin Duvernay. You heard a lot of hype about him right before the game, kinda. 4 for 54 and 2. You don't feel good about 4 though, only on 4 targets. So it's
yeah.
one of those things where like, can he do that every week where it's just touchdowns or what?
I mean,
Anything on the Jets side that kind of jumps out at you?
Joe Flacco, 37 for 59. Holy,
Yeah, the poor old Joe gonna have to put the arm on ice for a week.
yeah.
307, 1-1.
I'll tell you what though, you might not get very many touchdowns, but if they're gonna pass like this, there might not be a bad flex option in here somewhere.
Yeah, Michael Carter would be the one that I would say 60 yards on the ground, that's 6 points,
Hmm.
7 receptions, okay, that's 13 points, and then 40 more yards on those receptions. He
Yeah,
had 17 points today on a game where they got in a day where they got blowed out.
yeah.
So I think Michael Carter's one that you got to think about. I
Hmm.
also think that, some of these other guys like Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, they all had 9, 8, and 7 targets and 7, 6 receptions, 4 receptions, 5 receptions for,
Yeah.
almost 50 plus yards for everybody. Everybody was a mediocre flex option today.
Hmm. Yeah.
The thing
To
that
be
that
honest.
the thing that surprises me the most, Brees Hall had less carries than Michael Carter, which didn't surprise me. However, he had the most targets on the team with 10, but only had 6 balls for 38 as far as the receiving goes. Interested to see what happens there going forward with a rookie who they seem to be working in a little slower.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not I'm not big on the Jets at all to really do much, but I mean, it looks like they will never run the ball, which for Joe Flacco's history, that's not good.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think
I
you're
mean,
worried about this team winning anything, but
no.
when Joe Flacco's under center, if they're going to keep doing this when they get behind, then you're okay with it as a fantasy owner.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll agree with that. And Brees Hall, I don't know. He could. I don't know. He could turn it around. I think he'll have a better week next week.
Okay. Would you like to cover just one more game and then cover the rest tomorrow, or would you like to maybe stitch this video and continue?
Oh, we can stitch it if you want.
Okay, so we'll just make sure that all the 1 o'clock games get covered, and then tomorrow we can cover the rest of them if you'd like.
Okay.
Okay, so we got 3 more 1 o'clock games. We'll go ahead and throw the Panthers game on this video if you'd like
Oh yeah.
here.
All right. All right. Only
Might
got
as
3 minutes,
well.
so
Hey, listen though. Went down there, got the Baker Mayfield jersey, put the jersey on. You felt bad about it at the beginning, but you didn't feel too bad about it at the end.
Uh-uh.
Jacoby Brissett, game manager, 147 and 1, whatever. Nick Chubb, 22 carries for 141 yards. And
Yeah.
it was as rough looking in person
Hmm.
as it sounds on the
Yeah.
stat sheet. Kareem Hunt even had 11 carries for 46 and 1. So both running backs looking pretty good for Cleveland, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I know that Kareem Hunt got it done in the passing game as well, right?
He did. He had 4 receptions, 24 yards, and a tutty. But I'll tell you what, Donovan Peoples-Jones made Jacoby Brissett look so much better than he actually was today. I think he made like
Absolutely.
4 diving catches.
This
That's
dude was
nuts.
this dude was fully stretched out
Yeah.
3 or at least 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Like and these were not balls where he was wide open. Like these
No,
were
he
balls
was
with
like good
defenders
coverage.
draped on his back. Yes.
Yeah.
And was making these plays for Jacoby Brissett. Like and obviously he rewards him with 11 targets. Um, you're obviously upset with the Amari Cooper, 6 targets, 3 receptions, 17 yards. He just really wasn't looking that way today
Mm-mm.
at all, just in general. And then everybody was thinking maybe take a shot on Njoku. 1 catch on 1 target for 7 yards. Once again, we're in another year of Njoku not really meaning anything for fantasy. So I'd just be done with that right now if I was you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll agree.
uh, Panthers side of the ball here. Baker Mayfield, 235, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Not a great QBR. Sacked 4 times. The offensive line really,
Was
really
awful.
struggled in the first half for sure. Yes. Um, the interception was kind of just his fault in general. He
Yeah.
overthrew a wide receiver on a slant. Uh, but you go on down a little bit. You're not feeling too good about this next part either. McCaffrey, 10 carries. You don't feel good about that. 33 yards and a touchdown. When they started amping up, Christian McCaffrey started amping up 4 and 5 yards a carry. At the beginning, it just didn't look very good.
But also, he had like a 40-yard rush that got called back because of some kind of stupid
Well,
holding call or something.
that was a like a little swing pass.
Oh, it was. Oh, well,
Yeah,
either
yeah,
way.
but it did get called back by a holding. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. That play was the biggest play of the first quarter, and it got called back.
Hmm.
Now Baker Mayfield rushed in a touchdown, so he was a
Yeah.
viable fantasy option today if like you had to really really reach in a league, and some people may have. Uh,
Dude,
but
235, a touchdown and a rushing touchdown isn't that bad. I mean, I know he had the
no,
pick, but that's not that bad of a fantasy option.
no, and brought him back at the end and made it competitive. Real quick, DJ Moore, you didn't feel good about. Only six
Mm-mm.
targets, 3 for 43. Christian McCaffrey had 4 for 4 targets, 4 receptions, 24 yards. And then Robbie Anderson with the 75-yard bomb to put them in contention on this one. So if you want to just stitch to the next video right now, we
All right.
can.
All right.
Hi everybody, welcome back on the almost like part 2, but like we're just gonna stitch these together here with the help of Nick over there. We were actually just like catching up on the Tampa Bay and Cowboys game. We were waiting on our video to upload, but we left you off with a little bit of talking about the Panthers a little bit. And I think the last thing that we mentioned was I don't think it's time to get absolutely totally excited about Robbie Anderson, even though he went 5 for 102 and a touchdown. Everybody saw the 75-yard bomb play where he was just wide open, just got behind the
Yep.
defense, and Baker was able to hit him. So I don't think it's time to get too riled up or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I still, I think DJ Moore's still gonna be the number one targeted receiver and should be your easy pick to be your starter, like any receiver on the Panthers. I think DJ Moore should be probably the only one you have in your lineup. Robbie Anderson at best on a normal week is probably at a flex on like a bye week.
Hmm.
I don't. He's not going to be going 5 for 102 and a touchdown every week. Don't
No,
expect that.
no, and I think when I'm looking at these Panthers weapons and I look at the numbers and they're not good, I think just give them another half of football because they really only had a second half of football.
Dude, they didn't get a first down until what the like last 4 minutes of the second quarter.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, it
for
was
sure.
bad. And then it was like someone else was calling plays the second quarter, dude.
The second
Or the
half,
second half,
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it was pretty obvious that like just the play calling and the scheme of what we were trying to do just didn't make any sense
No.
whatsoever. So no, the Panthers lost. We both had the Panthers and everything, but like I said, the second half was a tale of two halves for sure. Um, and it was a tale of Nick Chubb for sure.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and I said in the last video, any success that they have will come almost directly from that man. Now I know Kareem Hunt,
for
had the touchdowns, but Chubb, 22 carries, 141 yards.
yeah, he did the dirty work for sure.
Yeah, that's dude. It felt like he was running the ball like every other play, like literally. That's how it felt. But I mean, I know
Yeah.
obviously he wasn't, but it felt like every time he ran, he was picking up big yardage too, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
and he was always making that first defender miss.
Yeah.
Hmm. But anyway, we'll go on down to the battle. I think you called it the Battle of Mid, didn't you?
Yeah.
Is this the one you call the Battle of Mid? Jaguars and Commanders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Actually a mediocre, like highly scoring affair, 28-22 Commanders. We both had Commanders in this
Hmm.
game, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
On the Jacksonville side, Trevor Lawrence, 24 for 42, 275, a touchdown and interception. Not a totally terrible stat line there. Obviously, you want to be more accurate, but 275 for a touchdown and an interception. You didn't absolutely kill your team
Yeah.
by any means. I think the thing that worries you or bothers you is James Robinson out carried Travis Etienne. 11 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown, had a 22 long, looked pretty good. Travis Etienne only had 4 carries, but looked good in those 4 carries, 47 yards, had a 27 long. So
Yeah.
I don't think you feel bad about either one of those running backs. You just feel bad about the fact that you're probably not going to be able to start them for fantasy if one of them is only going to get above double-digit carries.
Yeah.
So
It's. I'd hold off. I'd still hold on to Etienne, but
yeah.
I think his carries will go up. I'm not sure if he was like hurt a little bit and they were like just limiting, his touches today or whatever. But
It,
if he's still getting 4 carries, by week 4, it's probably it might have to let him go.
yeah,
That's not worth it.
almost like a Michael Carter Brees Hall situation where we know that Brees Hall is probably the better athlete, but Michael Carter's been there. So
Yeah.
James Robinson has been there. He's done that for Jacksonville. So I think he got a little bit of his opportunities here at the beginning of the season. Jacksonville receiving Christian Kirk, 6 for 117 on 12 targets. That's what you like to hear.
Hmm.
12 targets. Um, Travis Etienne had a couple catches. Zay Jones actually had 6 for 65 with 9 targets. Now, I don't know anybody that was having to reach for Zay Jones, but if you did, you weren't completely disappointed by any means.
No.
No, after that, you're not really looking at anybody else. I've heard some people say that maybe Ingram could have a resurgence here. I just don't see it anymore for Evan Ingram. So,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think anything major on Evan Ingram. Christian Kirk, maybe not a bad fantasy option.
yeah, absolutely. A guy that stretches the field. Maybe he can be a little bit more of a possession receiver if need be too. So,
Yeah.
well, I will let you start with the quarterback conversation over in Washington because I know that we're ready to vote this guy MVP.
Honestly, probably second to Josh Allen, or probably third behind Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes for Week 1.
Yeah, yeah, and
Uh,
and I think Justin Herbert creeps up there too at some point.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I
he's right in
think
that
I
pack.
think I think Herbert might even go above him because Wentz had 2 picks.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
exactly.
mean, Wentz, 27 for 41, 313 yards, 4 touchdown passes, and 2 picks. The 2 picks worries you a little bit, but everything else is looking good.
Yeah, absolutely. And you say, all right, well, it was the Jaguars. All right, well, I want you to go ask a couple of these other quarterbacks today who were playing teams that were supposed to be lesser than them why they didn't look
Right.
very good. So,
Right.
Carson Wentz looked very, very serviceable today. Looked very,
Mm-hmm.
very good. Antonio Gibson took over the lead back role today, 14 carries for 58 yards, but 7 receptions for 72 yards.
That's nice.
Yeah, and with J.D. McKissick supposed to be this third down pass catcher, and Antonio Gibson actually has 4 more catches than he does, I think that says something about the talent of Antonio Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely feel good about going forward.
Oh yeah, I think you're starting Antonio Gibson week 2 100% if you have
Oh,
him. So
absolutely. I
you're
think
finding
it.
somewhere to squeeze him in.
Yeah, they played the Lions too, and the Lions just gave up a crap ton of points
Well, yeah,
to the running backs for Philadelphia. Everybody had a touchdown over there, so
yeah. I have Antonio Gibson on my bench, and I had Marquise Brown in my flex, and I'm probably gonna switch him out. And
yeah,
that sucks but I'll have to put Marquise Brown in for T Higgins though this next week, so that works out okay for me actually.
yeah. You definitely just have to try to find ways to get your home run hitters in your lineup.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
A lot of wide receivers running the ball this week.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel, 4 carries for 17 yards. He also added 8 catches for 55 and a touchdown. So the former Panther product you're feeling pretty good about.
Mhm.
As a possession PPR, almost like a Hunter Renfro type of guy because Hunter Renfro wasn't Hunter Renfro today. So
No, I think it's more
somebody has
Derek
to
Carr
be.
wasn't Derek Carr today.
Yeah. Terry McLaurin saved you. Only 4 targets for Terry McLaurin, though. That's a little sketchy.
That's concerning.
Yeah, 2 receptions, 58 yards and a touchdown. All of this beautiful passing offense, and we only managed 4 targets for Terry McLaurin.
I don't know if he had. I don't know anything about the Jaguars other than that Trevor Lawrence is their quarterback, pretty much. I
Yeah,
don't know if they. I don't know if they have a good like number one corner or
they don't
what.
have like a lockdown guy.
You know that does concern me with Terry McLaurin because I know he was taken like fairly high in a few drafts. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and that scares you. If Carson Wentz is successful and Terry McLaurin isn't successful, that's scaring you a little bit.
Yeah, I think Curtis Samuel will be a pretty hot commodity on the waiver wire this week just for
Mm-hmm.
his 11 targets, 8 receptions, 55 and 1. Um, Now, as far as Jahan Dotson goes, I don't want everybody to like just jump on the hype train here. 3 receptions, 2 of them were touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I think don't invest in that too much because I mean, how many targets did he have?
Only 5. So
Five.
he was one, two, three. He was 4th on the team as far as target count.
Yeah, I don't see him catching 2 touchdowns in a game probably the rest of the season. Like this might be just his one game of he was open the end zone twice or something. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
understand exactly what you're saying. Just one of those freak things. If
Yeah.
Jahan Dotson comes out next week and gets like 7 or 8 targets and has a more consistent game too without the touchdowns, then you probably start buying in a little bit.
Yeah, you might feel a little better about that then. But I think for now, hold on to Terry McLaurin at least for a week or two. And then Antonio Gibson needs to find a way in your lineup somehow.
Oh,
For
absolutely.
sure.
Antonio Gibson has to be in your lineup for week 2. Has to be. We will dabble in our last 1 o'clock game, our last game for this video. That is going to be the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans, because neither one of these teams have a win or a loss after week 1.
This game is really, really confusing to me because I'm not understanding how the Colts lost. Matt Ryan, 32 for 50, 352 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Not great, but not certainly not bad, you know.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, 31 carries for 161 yards and a touchdown. Also, 4 receptions, 14 yards. You know, add you a quick 5 points right there with that.
Yep. Yep.
And Michael Pittman Jr., 9 receptions, 121 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
I'm just their big guys did what big guys are supposed to do. They performed, and they tied with the
Yeah.
Texans.
This tie is a loss for them.
Yeah,
Like
big
in
time.
mental loss for sure. The guys who needed to perform did perform. Jonathan
Yeah,
Taylor got it done. Pittman got it done. Matt Ryan, I wouldn't say had a totally terrible day. Um, but then they have just got to get production from somewhere else, I guess. I just don't know. The defense was supposed to be better than what they showed today, but Paris Campbell is a guy that's supposed to be stepping up this year. All right, 3 for 37. That's not really stepping up. Mo Alley Cox is a guy that's supposed to be stepping up this year. 2 for 26. That's not stepping up either.
mm-mm.
If you're going to put these guys on the starting lineup, on the field, as far as like if you're going to put these guys on the field over these other guys on the depth chart, they're going to have to like step it up and just demand. I'm not saying go to your quarterback and demand more targets. I'm saying like with your presence on the field, demand more targets.
Yeah.
But like I said, the Stars, they look beautiful.
Yeah.
So can't much say anything about them.
I think, if you have Matt Ryan, you probably keep him in. If you're in that kind of league, like where you have to start a Matt Ryan, then keep him in.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Taylor, obviously, one of the best running backs in the league. And Pittman Jr., you're not worried about him at all. I don't think.
No,
You're
not at all.
you're probably like just huge sigh of relief. You're like, all right, this dude can really like be like a
It
top 10
really
receiver
is true.
easy.
It really is true.
Yeah.
On the Houston side of the ball, we had one of the lesser known year two quarterbacks here, Davis Mills, 23 for 37, 240 yards, and 2 touchdowns. No interceptions, which is nice to have from a younger quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't look that bad. No interceptions, 2 touchdown passes. That doesn't look that bad, but 23 for 37 isn't great.
Yeah,
Not terrible.
yeah.
But another thing that scares me, I think as a team they had less than 80 rushing yards. That's how do you score 20 points and only have 80 rushing yards?
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I completely understand what you're saying.
and not even have one receiver with 100 receiving yards. Like what? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, the running back room comparison probably didn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people because Damian Pierce was just shooting up draft boards before the season started. Everybody wanting to get a piece of Damian Pierce because he's going to be the lead back, and then Rex Burkhead actually out carries him, and Rex Burkhead is on the verge of going to the retirement home at this point. So if Rex Burkhead is out carrying you and out targeting you, like there's a serious problem. Rex Burkhead is the second most targets on the team with 8.
Yeah.
5 receptions, 30 yards. That's 8 points right there. And then Rex Burkhead only scored 12 points today, but he hindered Damian Pierce from ever having a chance.
Mm-hmm.
To score more. So it kind of stinks. If you leaned Brandon Cooks like we do every year, no matter what his situation is, you leaned correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 receptions, 82 yards on 12 targets, by far and away the most on the team. After that, OJ Howard caught you 2 balls for 2 touchdowns. If you had him in your lineup, congratulations. You beat the system.
Yeah.
Anything else on these guys right here that stands out at you?
um, I think the Colts scoring 17 in the fourth quarter is strange to me, and also the defense just kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe the offense too. Like if I thought this would be more like a 28 to like 7. Like
Oh yeah, this should have been a staple win. Like, hey,
yeah,
we're here. We're gonna contend now.
yeah. And then you took a tie on what should have been one of your easiest wins of the year.
Yep.
And
And just for
it's rough.
retrospect,
Yeah.
they travel to the Jaguars. So then they go Chiefs, Titans, Broncos. So that's a pretty tough 3 game stretch right there.
Yeah.
Um. But anyway, do you have anything else that you would like to add as far as like these videos go and you know?
No, I mean, we really appreciate all y'all's support on all these videos. Y'all gotta subscribe, and like, and it helps us grow. It helps us be able to cover more stuff for y'all, and give y'all some better content. And y'all gotta comment and let us know what you want to see. That's what helps us the most
Absolutely.
to help us to help y'all. What do y'all want to see, and we'll talk about it.
As far as fantasy football is concerned too, like if you want to see a video just based off of guys that we would pick up in our fantasy league, if somebody's hurt on my
Yeah.
roster and I'm looking to pick up a wide receiver, who are you looking to pick up?
Right.
And we'll give you options, because we know that not everybody has an 8 team league or a 10 team league or a 12
Yeah.
team league even, but we'll give you options. We
Yeah.
want to know those things because when we're at the end of a video and we're done doing recaps and stuff, and I'm asking Nick, is there something else you want to do? That'd be great to just like throw
Yeah.
that stuff in there, like these are my 3 guys, or whatever
Right.
you guys want. I really like doing the bold predictions, obviously.
Mhm.
But that's just something fun for us to do at the end.
Yeah,
Do you want to change your pick for tomorrow night, Nick? If by any chance, Seahawks or
dude.
anything? I don't know.
With how football went today, I think I might have to pick the Seahawks to win by 50.
Y'all good.
Uh,
Listen, I'll just predict a close game. That's what I'll do.
I don't think I really for some reason I hope that tomorrow's normal because the Broncos should win easily. But I mean, you never
Absolutely.
know, dude. I've seen maybe the craziest day of football I've ever watched in my life. Crazy, crazy comebacks, crazy, crazy game. I mean, really today, like this was a great like opening Sunday.
Absolutely. I don't think you could be more happy with just the atmosphere of like football just being back.
Yeah, for sure.
And we will be covering the 4 p.m. and on games after that, obviously the
Mhm.
night game and then the Monday night game as well tomorrow night after the game, and then that'll be posted the next day. So that'll be a Tuesday video for you guys.
Yeah.
We appreciate the support.
Yep.
Nick, I'll let you tell them what to do as usual.
All right. There's gonna be a video under Colby, and there's gonna be an option to subscribe right below me. Y'all gotta watch that video, and y'all gotta subscribe. And most importantly, y'all gotta comment and let us know what you want to see. That's what we want to do. If y'all want us to talk about something, we will absolutely go out of our way to make time to talk about that thing.
Absolutely. Comment, let us know. I mean, if you want us to mention a specific player or break down a specific player, that'd be great too.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. All right.
All right. Thanks.
Yep. Thank y'all.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Triple Play Podcast. Coming at you again after the wrap up of Monday Night Football. We're tired, but we're not too tired. So, Nick, I'm gonna let you tell them what we're talking about today.
We're gonna do the same thing as the last video. We're gonna go over but we're gonna go over the 4 o'clock games, the Sunday night game, and the Monday night game. Um, Colby said he wanted to start it with Vikings Packers. So Colby, you can pick which team you wanna go with.
Well, I'm just happy that we got one. That we got. It's a tough week. I don't think anybody, you look at ESPN analysts, fantasy football analysts, sports book. I don't think anybody looked good this week, in general, especially sports book, because
No.
some of the biggest like margins of victory were actually games that went completely the other direction. So, but I was happy to see what Minnesota did against Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll start with the highlights on the Viking side. Obviously, you liked what you saw. Kirk Cousins, 23 for 32, 277, and two. No interceptions. Kirk Cousins doing what you would kind of expect him to do. 277 is not a stellar number. Two touchdowns, conservative, no interceptions. That's what we're looking forward to there.
Mm-hmm.
Dalvin Cook, 20 carries for 90 yards, a very respectable game. And the backup running back actually had 8 carries as well. So a little bit of caseload managing there, probably toward the end of the game
Yeah.
for him. Just doing bringing down the workload just a little bit. And in the passing game, it really truly was all Justin Jefferson with nine
Mm-hmm.
receptions, 184 and two. I
And this is what I predicted in one of our recent videos: 8 receptions or more, 100 yards or more, two touchdown passes or catch receptions or more.
Exactly. Like he cemented himself as the obvious target, and I think just where the Packers weren't able to do anything about it, that's
Yeah.
why the rest of I wouldn't sound the alarm on Adam Thielen by any
Uh-uh,
means.
uh-uh, uh-uh.
This game just got out of hand pretty quick, and it was pretty obvious that the Packers couldn't score.
Mm-hmm.
So why would they force the issue in the second half there and try to get him more involved? Uh, Only 4 targets for Thielen, 3 for 36. Obviously, you're upset about that, but like I said, I don't think it's panic time on Adam Thielen. I think you feel good that the offense looks so good.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
You really feel good that Cousins was able to do what he was able to do because I think that was what people were questioning the most about the Vikings offense because I don't think anyone's questioning the Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen I don't think anyone thinks that those are bad. I think, more worried about Kirk Cousins.
Exactly, and him looking nice there. Now give him a tight ball game, and you got to really keep throwing it in the second half. You never know what could happen. So I'll let you start talking about the other side of the ball.
I also got another prediction right. I thought that Rodgers would throw at least one interception. He threw an interception. He 22 for 34 for 195, no touchdowns, and one pick. And then Jordan Love, I guess, came in. I don't know, for a drive or something, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it was at the end of the game. I think it was just like it was over. You
I
know.
mean, he 4 for 5 for 65. I mean, that's not god awful here.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's one of those things where
yeah.
Aaron Rodgers like, okay, you're our guy. Game's over. Let's not be crazy.
hmm
But
Um.
I think it worried me most that he didn't throw a single touchdown pass. That's pretty concerning in my opinion. Like 22 for 34, not terrible on the completion percentage. Could be better. 195, a little low on the numbers for
hmm
22 completions.
hmm
Um, and then no touchdowns and an interception. Now I know, and I don't know if you've seen this play or not, like the second or third play of the Packers' first drive, he hit goodness gracious, this guy's name is Christian Watson. He was a second round rookie this past year, wide receiver, and hit him in stride about 40 yards down the field and what would have been a walk in touchdown, basically, and it went right through his hands. Right through his hands. Like the second or third play of the first Packers drive. Like at
Dude.
that, I heard a podcast today say at that point, if you're Christian Watson, you just keep on jogging, go right through the tunnel, get in the Uber, back to Green Bay, call Aaron Rodgers, leave a message, and say, "Listen, I know." But I, I honestly like before we talk about these other fantasy options, I think Aaron Rodgers has almost made his own bed in a certain way. He wanted the big deal, he got the big deal, and now he got the pieces around him because of that big deal.
hmm
So, um, a lot of people toward the end of the offseason there were saying, "Oh yeah, Packers are still going to be there, like still got them in the NFC Championship game, all this, that." I don't think me and you were very big on them there toward the end at all. I know I had the Vikings winning the division. I think you had them barely squeaking out the division, and they could still do that. But or you had them tied maybe with the Vikings. Maybe you had them tied. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not 100% sure either.
But it
I can
was
go
it was
look.
but it was close. Like I mean I know for a fact, and I know I had them losing the division by a game. I think I had them at 10-7 or something. So I mean I know it's not time to completely panic if you're a Green Bay fan, and I'm not saying that they're just going to be terrible the rest of the way. They started out slow a couple years ago and done just fine, but just not a good look from the start in a division matchup.
I had the Packers at 10-7. I had the Vikings at 9-8.
Okay,
So
so a lower
I think,
division in general.
yeah, but I think I'm probably, like, after what I just saw, I think I'm looking at more like maybe an 11-6 Vikings, and maybe more like a 8-9 Packers. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But I think after what I saw, I mean, to be honest with you, the Lions might have impressed me the most of anyone in this division yesterday.
Yeah, just like
Scoring 35 is just crazy to me.
consistently coming back and coming back and coming
hmm
back on a team that was doing really well in the Eagles.
hmm
Um, Now, Nick, you tell me the rushing situation in Green Bay, did that surprise you at all?
Um, I don't know if it surprised me, but I just think it's a bit odd, to say the least. I mean, Aaron Jones, 5 carries, 49 yards. AJ Dillon, 10 carries, 45 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
I maybe AJ Dillon's the end zone, like the red zone rusher. I don't know. Like, and
Yeah, I would say that because it was a two, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong too. I think it was like a 2 yard run
yeah,
or a two
but
yard touchdown
also
run.
AJ Dillon also had 5 receptions for 46 yards. So
That is the part that surprised me. You would think Aaron Jones would be the reception guy,
yeah,
while AJ Dillon was more of like the bruiser.
yeah.
And now they were both right there in targets. Dillon had 6, Jones had 5. Obviously Jones had a great average yards per carry because he had a 29-yard run that he busted out there. So then he was 4
Mm,
for 20 on the other four runs, and that's still, really
that ain't
good
bad. Yeah,
average.
that ain't
Yeah.
bad.
So AJ Dillon a little less on the average yards per carry, but could have had, like you said, could have just got several touches down there on that finish off when they were trying to score that touchdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised by the receiving outcome. No Alan Lazard in this game. You think he projects to be the one for sure. Is there any name out there, any name in there in the receiving category that just like you're like, oh yeah, maybe this guy next week or
No, I think the only receiver that you're running out is Alan Lazard if he's healthy. Like
yeah, it's hard right now. It's
it's
hard to
tough.
if you are like really scraping the bottom of the barrel, maybe you're still running Robert Tunyon at tight end. 3 for 36 on 5 targets. Next week they just play better in general. Who they play next week? They play the Bears. I mean, that's an opportunity
Hey,
for a bounce
Bears
back, I
coming
think.
off a big upset off
Yeah,
of the Niners.
yep.
So
And Aaron Rodgers has been vocal in saying that he owns the Chicago franchise. So
yeah.
in years past, the two starting wide receivers in this game, Randall Cobb, 2 for 14 on 3 targets, and Sammy Watkins, 3 for 18 on 3 targets. So
Mm,
I mean, your two rookie wide receivers, Romeo Dubs. I'm pretty sure he's a rookie. I know he's at least a young guy. He's at least a young guy. Romeo Dubs, 4 receptions, 37 on 5 targets. And then Christian Watson still had 2 balls for 34 yards on 4 targets. So he did get some targets afterwards. So that bodes well for his future with Aaron Rodgers.
yeah.
Probably not just the favorite thing in the world. Aaron Rodgers realizing what life is without Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
So going forward, you're just feeling good about the Vikings, feeling like you don't know much about the Packers.
Hmm.
What game would you like to go to next? Because I chose the first one.
Let's talk about Chiefs Cardinals.
Chiefs Cardinals. Several points here. 65-point total here. So definitely hit
Yeah.
the over in this game, which you had to kind of figure that it would.
Yeah.
The Chiefs pretty much handled most of that themselves.
Yeah. Now I had it Chiefs 28-24. So close on the Cardinals, but the Chiefs overperformed compared to what I thought they would do. But Patrick Mahomes was 30 for 39, 360 with 5.
Yeah,
No
exactly.
interceptions. That's nuts.
30 for 39 feels good. Like it really just
Hmm.
does. His average, depth of target. Well, no, that's more wide receiver talk. His average completion, is going to be a lot further down the field too.
Hmm.
The guy tries to throw the ball a mile. He
Yeah.
does. And 5 touchdowns, he spreads the field out so much. He can do so many different things. I'll let you kind of go more into the Chiefs in general, just talking about them though. I'll talk more about the Cardinals.
Uh, I think what surprises me more is maybe Isaiah. Is that Pacheco? I don't know how. Yeah,
Pacheco,
12
rookie.
carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. 5 more carries than Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Okay,
That's
I don't want to say wrong, but I think he was a third round pick. I think. I think it was third round, could have been later this year. So he's a rookie.
yeah,
Yeah, so interesting to say the least.
yeah.
Do you
Um,
think that's a product of getting up in the game?
I don't know because I mean Mahomes still threw a decent amount. I mean,
Let me look at Gamecast and see when he scored that touchdown. Okay, so his touchdown came with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter when the game was
yeah.
locked, completely
Okay,
locked.
yeah,
So it could have been, yeah, he could have been just the guy that came out there and ran the clock out. So maybe you don't feel too bad about that. But you still want to see more carries out of Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
yeah. You do. You want to see more than 7. But I mean, it doesn't make you feel as bad if he's getting, 3 reception, 32 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Exactly.
But
Um,
he's probably not going to be the guy getting 2 touchdowns every week.
you worry about the opportunities because 3 receptions, 7 carries. Okay, he touched the ball 10 times. He just so happened to score 2 touchdowns while he
Yeah.
did it. So, I know everybody's like, oh man, I got a steal and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Well, you only got 10 touches.
Yeah.
So you spread several. McKinnon had 4 touches out of the backfield and 3 receptions. Pacheco had 12 touches out of the backfield with no receptions. So, I mean, it's just really all over the place. It could be different in a game that's closer.
Yeah. But I think 2 things that you really love or three things. Patty's still Patty, so you're not worried about him.
Yep, exactly.
He still loves Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce's still a beast.
Absolutely. You got to
And
feel good about
Travis
that one.
Kelce also is going to find the end zone. And Juju owners, the guys that took a chance on him, 6 receptions, 79 yards, didn't have a touchdown.
Yep.
Not a bad day. Wait for your second most targeted,
Yep.
receiver.
That's the big part. That's the big part. The only guy that got out targeted him was Travis Kelce, and you
Yeah,
knew that was going to happen.
and yeah, Travis Kelce should be getting the most targets every single week. That's just how it's going to be. I think that's just they've got some kind of just stupid chemistry, dude. It's like Burrow and Chase and Diggs and Allen. It's just ridiculous.
Yep. I think if you going into week 2, you feel really good as a Juju owner as long as he's like healthy and everything like
Yeah,
that.
as long as Juju stays healthy, I'd say you'll be seeing more, 6, 7, 8 receptions for 80+ yards and maybe sneak a touchdown or two in there.
Yeah, as a Valdez Scantling owner, I don't know how I feel though. Caught
Mm.
all 4 targets for 44 yards, fours across the board, but I just don't know how I feel going into week 2 in my trust for Marquez Valdez Scantling.
I'm gonna be honest. I think if he's anything more than a flex in an emergency or something, or maybe I don't know. Like I think he can't be better than a flex on your team. I don't think.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll hit you with, you know, uh, something that I'm kind of facing in one of my leagues. I'm facing a Keenan Allen injury and a T. Higgins injury,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got Cortland Sutton who had a mediocre game tonight. On my bench, I've got to pick 2 of these wide receivers. Brandon Cooks, not an exciting team, but an exciting, first week.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Kirk, not an exciting team, but an exciting first week.
Mm-hmm.
Drake London, kind of exciting week in a situation where he actually caught more balls than Kyle Pitts. And then
Mm-hmm.
I've got Valdez Scantling, who is on the best offense out of any of them, and I'm like, he's probably the 4th guy on my bench right now. And that's terrible. That hurts. I kind of was hoping
Yeah.
you always hope for a bigger piece of the pie when you're talking about a big offense.
I know we're not to the Monday night game yet, but I would say not to worry about Cortland Sutton. I think that
Yeah.
the Broncos will look better than they did tonight.
Yep.
All right, you want to
So
go over
we'll
the
go over to
Cardinals side?
the
All right.
Cardinals. Listen, first of all, let's mention Trace McSorley, 2 for 4, 12 yards for the Cardinals. Okay, that's the
Hey.
first thing. Trace McSorley, Penn State, baby. Okay. Listen, roll the theme song. But anyway, Kyler Murray, 22 for 34. You're okay with that. 193, you're not okay with that. 2
Mm-mm.
touchdowns. You expect Kyler Murray to come out and be Patrick Mahomes-esque and just sling the crap out of it everywhere.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that just wasn't the case.
yeah, I thought that Murray would throw for 2 touchdowns and have over 200 yards, but didn't quite get to 200 yards. But he did have 2 touchdown passes. But I mean, also another thing about Kyler Murray: 5 carries, 29 yards. That's not quite the rushing
No.
that you would
And
normally see from him, but
and one
he's
of
gonna.
them was 21 yards.
Yeah, that's kind of weird to me for Kyler Murray.
Yeah, a very down situation for Kyler Murray. And it could be a
Mhm.
situation where they got down so quickly that just changed the tempo of what they wanted to do. Like, okay, well, we need to just chill out. Like this thing's over. Let's not do anything foolish. Um, are you concerned about the running back situation with James Conner? 10 carries, 26 yards, 2.6 yards a carry, still got a touchdown. And then he came back with 5 receptions for 29. So that salvaged your day a little bit.
That makes me feel a little bit better about him not having a ton of touches in the backfield. But the
Yeah.
5 reception for 29 does help, and his touchdown helps. I think maybe they got down big, like bad early. Like it was like that, like they were down 14-0 going into the second. So they were probably like, maybe let's not kill our guys today because we're already getting slaughtered. Like,
Yeah, and they're
and
gonna have to drop back at that point too. So
right. And going into the fourth quarter, it was 37-7, I think. Yeah, like there's no need to kill
yeah,
your
the the
guys
the
there.
starter, yeah, the running back James Conner's out of the game at that point.
Yeah.
But like I said, the only thing that concerns me is the 2.6 yards per carry. His
Yeah,
longest run was 8 yards.
that's
So
that's worrying me a little bit.
yeah, absolutely. You get on down to the wide receiver room here. Surprisingly, uh, Greg Dortch leads the team in receptions. 5'7", 175 out of Wake Forest. Nobody's talking about him before the game. Guy has 7 balls for 63 yards on 9 targets. Led the team in targets as well. And then you got Marquise Brown. He did get the touchdown, 4 for 43 and a touchdown on 6 targets. You felt good about that. I think you still feel okay going forward with Marquise Brown. I don't think it's time to hit the panic alarm button now. AJ Green, Brant, 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 get him off your team.
Yep.
Get him off your team. It's over. AJ Green's
First,
done. It's over. Like D Hop is out right now, 6 games. You should be leaning on Marquise Brown, AJ Green, and then obviously Ertz and Connor should be getting looks and everything. When Greg Dortch is is outdoing AJ Green, who we have heard like he's coming back this year, like he's going to be back. That last year was a fluke. Like, okay, he was a down year. He's going to be fine this year as a veteran piece for us. No, sound the alarm. Get AJ Green off your team. It's time to move on. Pick up a
yep.
young wide receiver for another team and take a chance on that guy.
Pick up Greg Dortch.
Pick up Greg Dortch. Good God, North Carolina, the Wake Forest product. Jeez, who didn't know about him? I knew.
I didn't know his
I
name
just knew.
until I opened this box score.
I knew. I just didn't. I knew the people didn't know. Obviously, Greg Dortch. Everybody knows Greg.
The Dortch guy.
Everybody knows Greg. You ever went to a? You didn't go out with the boys at Wake Forest? Greg's a menace.
Dude.
Greg's a menace.
I can't afford to go to Wake Forest.
No, you're right. Greg probably comes from a very stable household. Greg. All right.
We're turned into a comedy podcast, dude.
Anyway, the people need it. Now you being a Zach Ertz owner, I need to know your opinion right here. 2 catches, 14 yards, 1 tutty. What is the vibes going forward? I know you've got, and it's great because you've got Goddard and Ertz. Those are 2 guys that really you could think about every single week. So I need to know what you're feeling on Ertz.
Not impressed. Definitely. I can't remember who the Eagles play next week or who
Now the Cardinals play the Raiders. I went ahead and looked at that for you. But then the Eagles offense, I feel like almost you just like give me a piece. 38 points, like bound to get in on that somehow.
Yeah. I mean,
tough. I don't know.
I think next week's probably definitely Goddard over Ertz for myself. But the touchdown, I think, is what salvages the day.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
If he's 2 for 14, nice, dude. You got 3.4 points. Like, you're probably getting dropped. But the touchdown kept him from getting dropped, I think. Because, I mean, how many targets did he have?
4.
That doesn't make me feel good either. I'm going to be honest, like, seriously, if Greg Dortch is getting the most targets every game, someone's going to have to pick him up. Like, seriously, like, you need to pick him up.
Yeah, especially before D-Hop gets back.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy, if you got room on your bench, pick him up. Let's sit him, next week. Maybe just in case you've got like 3 good options and you're a guy that can afford to just like sit on a guy. Do it next week just to see. You never know. But we'll move on to we both predicted that the Chiefs would win, so got that one. The next game we both predicted correctly as well, the Chargers and the Raiders, 24-19. Just the tale of 2 teams. The Chargers looked very methodical. It wasn't like all in your face like how great we are, but the Raiders looked, quite the opposite at times. I felt like they showed flashes of greatness, but then they had several moments where you were just shaking your head for sure.
Yeah. I think the biggest disappointment for me was Derek Carr, but also Derek Carr kind of impressed me with what Devontae Adams was able to do, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, it was a force feed show.
Yeah,
That's
I
for
mean,
sure.
Carr was 22 for 37. That's not a great number.
No.
295 makes you feel a little better about it for 2 touchdowns, but then your heart breaks again when you see those 3 interceptions.
Yep, absolutely. And we saw several quarterbacks struggle with interceptions on
Mm-hmm.
day one there,
Yep.
and I think most of the situations, and I didn't get to watch this game as closely, but I think a lot of those situations had to do with offensive line issues too.
Yep.
So I didn't watch this game in particular to see
I
if
didn't
that was
either.
the case. He was sacked 5 times though, so
And
yeah, that's
another
tell you a
thing,
little bit something.
Burrow threw 4 picks, got sacked 6 times, didn't he?
Seven,
7 times, excuse
seven
me.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
I mean that doesn't help a man getting sacked five
nope,
times.
nope.
Just to be fair, Devontae Adams tried to throw a pass one time and he was sacked. So 6 sacks. So 6 sacks all in total for the offensive line. Not a good
But
day.
but I'll tell you what, if you took if I mean, I guess you ain't really taking a chance on Devontae Adams being good, but if you took him, you're really glad you did. 10 receptions, 141 yards, and a touchdown. That makes you
Yeah.
feel real good.
I don't think anybody in the locker room is screaming spread the ball out.
No, no. I mean, man, I
Seven.
could see a couple of his targets and receptions going to Darren Waller and Hunter Renfro in the future,
Oh
but
yeah,
I
and it
still
was
think he's easily the most targeted receiver.
it was a it was a pie of very few people for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Uh like you got 17 targets for Devontae Adams, 6 targets for Darren Waller, and 6 targets for Hunter Renfrow. After that, the most anybody had was 2.
Yeah.
And that includes running backs out of the backfield. So
Mm-hmm.
but now it's kind of saddening. 17 targets, only 10 receptions for Devontae Adams. You never know what could have happened on some of those other. I know they said earlier in the game they were having trouble, like they were just off a little bit, off sync a little bit, and it could have been just the car thing, could have been the offensive line thing. Um, But late in the game, they really heated up and just like looked crazy. The rest of the wide receiving stuff, Darren Waller, 4 for 79. You didn't feel bad about that with how tight ends performed this week
Yeah.
on 6 targets. So just got his bag. He's going to get targets. He's going to be a threat in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about Darren Waller.
Yeah. Still, you
Um,
need to be starting him every single week.
and I don't think you're worried about Hunter Renfro. I know he had 6 targets. I know he had 3 balls for 21 yards. I don't think it's time to freak out. Um,
If he's still looking like that, like by week 3 or 4, it might be time to freak out a little bit.
yeah, the easiest way for Derek Carr to improve is to, uh, bump Hunter Renfro up to about 10 targets, and get the ball across the middle a little bit, 7, 8, 9 yards. That's where Derek Carr is going to improve, and that's going to automatically help Hunter Renfro too.
Yeah.
As far as the running back situation, uh, Jacobs only had 10 carries, 57 yards though. You kind of felt good about that, 5.7 a carry.
Yeah.
Everybody was worried about him just not having it, like in general. But against a respectable Chargers defense, 10 for 57. I know he doesn't have a touchdown. I know he didn't score you well in fantasy, but 5.7 a carry is nothing to slouch about.
Yeah. That ain't bad at all.
For sure. And now we'll get to the team that I know we want to talk about. I'll let you start it out though on the Chargers. I'll let you run the show over here.
I mean Herbert, dude. All Herbert. 26 for 34, 279 yards and 3 tutties, no interceptions. That's
I
a
see another stat.
good.
I see another stat that I really like. No sacks.
Yeah. Hey,
Not a single sack.
if you can give Justin Herbert time in the pocket, you're gonna win. Like,
Absolutely. I mean, you've got too many weapons not to. And
right.
they lost guys in this game. Actually
Mm-hmm.
lost some weapons, and some of their more well-known weapons actually didn't play as good.
Yeah.
Um so on the rushing end of things, what's standing out to you there?
I mean, Austin Eckler only getting 36 yards, 2.6 a carry. 14
Yeah.
carries, 36 yards is just kind of abysmal.
If they're blowing the Raiders out, I don't feel bad.
And
But
that's the thing, too, that the Chargers got to a big lead early. They're up 17-3 going into halftime.
yeah, but Josh Kelly getting 4 carries, Sony Michelle getting 7 carries. I don't like that.
No.
That does
No.
not feel good. No, and the short yardage guy was Sony Michelle. So what happens when you get inside the 5?
Yeah.
Sony Michel might be the guy inside the 5, and that's gonna really hurt the fact that Eckler was a 3rd pick off the board in some leagues.
Yeah.
Like
That's crazy.
a lot of people went Taylor, McCaffrey, Eckler, even before they even jumped to a wide receiver. So, um, I think you're concerned about the fact that so many other cooks got in the kitchen there.
Yeah.
But now you're not concerned about the fact that, maybe it was workload management, because they got up.
Yeah. I think next week, if they're in a closer game and and the carries are still more spread out like that, you might be worried. Like, something might be wrong.
Yeah, still caught 4 balls for 36 yards out of the backfield too.
Yeah. That makes you feel a little bit better, though.
Sony Michel didn't have a single target out of the backfield, and Josh Kelly had 2 for 14. The ball was just spread out so much
Mm-hmm.
on this team here. I'll let you kick us off on wide receivers, things that you want to talk about.
I mean, I thought that Keenan Allen would get 100+ yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Didn't get either.
Yeah.
I mean,
due in part to the hamstring injury.
yeah, that scares you because the hamstring injuries tend to linger.
Exactly.
I hope for the Chargers' sake they let it heal completely. Don't rush him back because at least you're 1-0 and he's hurt. You're not 0-1 and he's hurt.
Exactly. And they go, let's see, let me just grab that real quick. Oh boy. They go to the Chiefs next week.
Well,
all right, Keenan Allen, we'll see you on the field.
Keenan Allen, buddy.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't know what to do.
He came out with a statement and said that he actually didn't feel that bad, all in all, afterward. That they were being a little extra precautionary because at the time of it, they were pretty well in control. So, I mean, I don't know. I would rather save a man for down the road than blow him up in week 2 and tear something.
Right. It's not like you're something like you still like the Chiefs scored. Did they score the most points in football this week?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, you're not feeling bad about that, dude. If Patrick Mahomes goes off and you lose without Keenan Allen, you don't feel bad about that, especially since you beat the Raiders the week before.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And it's not worth it to rush him back and him actually injuring himself worse. Yep. It's just not worth it. I don't think.
I think a couple people were probably happy to see Gerald Everett. He only had 4 targets, but had 3 receptions, 54 yards, and a touchdown. He is the new tight end weapon for this team. So if you did start him, congratulations on that. Concerns, Mike Williams, 2 catches, 10 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Not a fan of said stat line. A guy that's supposed to really take the top off. But when you get control early in the game like that, you don't really need that guy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be it. Has to be it. We're going with it. You know what? Sorry, Mike. You're there. You're the guy. I don't think you're sitting him next week against the Chiefs.
No, especially if Keenan Allen is out.
Oh, for sure. If Keenan Allen out, even if Keenan Allen's there, I think you kind of just got to start all your pieces.
Yeah.
But we got to see. We got a few minutes here on this recording. We can definitely grab this Giants Titans game real quick.
Dude.
Hey, it is time. Say quads.
Say quads. Don't say that.
Say quads is back, and I told everybody. I told them, and I have been down and down and down and down. You know how much trash I talked about Saquon last year when you drafted him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then this year I pick him up. I said, listen, I feel good about it this year. You didn't have to draft him early. He doesn't have the pressure. He doesn't have the pressure on his shoulders, Nick, of a top 10 fantasy pick. So he goes out there, plays loose. Absolute stud. I mean, I only want to talk about Saquon. Okay. But we can start at the top with Daniel Jones.
Hey, tell you what, for Daniel Jones, this might be the best game he's ever played in the NFL.
For a guy to get sacked 5 times, only throw 1 pick, and go 17 for 21, I'd feel pretty good about it.
17 for 21, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. That's
all he has to do.
If they're getting that out of Daniel Jones, the Giants could win some games. Seriously.
for sure. As long as they're getting what they're getting out of Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, yeah. You need the 18 carries for 164 yards and a touchdown at Saquon most games, but you won't get that most games.
Daniel
Maybe. I mean,
Jones. Daniel Jones added 6 carries for 25 yards too.
mm-hmm.
He's a guy that could run one in from 10 yards out
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Um, Saquon Barkley, 18 carries, 164 and one, had a 68-yard long, had a 9-yard average. Matt Breida even got some carries in this one, had 5 carries for 24. I mean, why not? Why not? Saquon was probably tired.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
hey, Saquon also 6 receptions,
Yeah.
30 yards, an extra 9 points for you right there.
Yep. There is not a running back that comes off the sideline and takes the receiving work away from him.
Mm-mm.
You want to get the man the ball. He had 24 opportunities in this game. You feel great right now if you're a Saquon Barkley owner.
For sure.
They're going to the Panthers next week, and I didn't see the Panthers stopping Nick Chubb.
Nope.
No, so you're firing up Saquon Barkley and loving it.
They didn't really stop Kareem Hunt either.
No, you're absolutely correct.
That kind of scares me a little
So
bit.
put those two stat lines together. That's Saquon Barkley's stat line this upcoming week. I love the Panthers. They're my team, but listen, as far as stopping the rush, they did not do it.
No.
We saw it in person.
Yeah, it was bad.
As far as receiving goes, this is one of those things. Like we talked about Robbie Anderson with the Panthers. Sterling Shepard, who has always been kind of like just a reception hog, only had 2 receptions, but had 71 yards and a touchdown. Had a 65-yard receiving touchdown. So, Sterling Shepard, I'm not getting excited. I'm not going to grab him. Are you going to grab him off the waiver wire?
Hell no.
Kenny Galladay doing Kenny Galladay things, 2 for 22. God, you just feel bad about it because he had so much talent in Detroit, and then he gets a contract, comes over here, and it's like he just has no love for it anymore. It's like he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
The biggest storyline, Kadarius Toney, who projected to be the number 1 wide receiver, not even targeted. He had 2 rushes for 23 yards. That was it. Not even targeted in this game.
That's crazy.
As the number 1, not even targeted. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. But
you ain't feeling good about it, I'll tell you that much.
But and the Giants, they pull out the game. But we'll go over to the Tennessee Titans, and I'm telling you, some of these stat lines you just don't even really feel that bad about.
I'll tell you what. One I do feel bad about is Derrick Henry, because he was a top 5 pick in a lot of leagues.
Yeah.
21 carries for 82 yards, 3.9 a carry. That's not that great, dude.
Yeah. Now I feel, I'm a Derrick Henry owner myself. I obviously won my fantasy matchup, or I would be more mad about the situation. But 82 yards, that's just one of those games. Like, he could have been 82 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But instead, he's just 82 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So 82 yards and 2 touchdowns makes you feel really good, but then sometimes these running backs, they just get hung up on yards, and Derrick Henry didn't catch a single pass out of the backfield.
He didn't even get a reception. So
that really hurts as well.
Yeah.
But back up to Tannehill. What's your thought on Tannehill there?
20 for 33, 266, 2 touchdowns, no picks. It's not awful. It's not awful.
I probably, as if I was a Titans fan, I'd probably come out of that like, okay, Tannehill looked okay.
Yeah, Tannehill looked, good for Tannehill.
Yep, absolutely. So we go on down here to the receiving situation, and this is the part that frustrates you as a Derrick Henry owner. Dontrell Hilliard, a backup running back, 3 receptions for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like, that's frustrating. That is frustrating.
If you add those to Derrick Henry's line, the touchdowns on either rushing or receiving, you're like, okay, yep, Derrick Henry did what he was supposed to do. But that's just that might worry you a little bit, because if this is like the same thing next week, he's getting the touchdowns, but Henry's getting the bulk of the work. You're like, what the heck? What's the point in having Derrick Henry?
Yeah, leading receiver was actually Kyle Phillips. Not really that acquainted with Mr. Kyle Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
Guys that you were acquainted with, though, Traylon Burks, the first-round rookie, 5 targets, 3 for 55. So, not a bad first game, 55 yards, 3 receptions. You're probably okay with that as a rookie. What you're not okay with is Robert Woods, 2 targets, 1 reception, 13 yards. He's probably the only, if unless you're taking Burks at the very end of your draft, Robert Woods is the only other wide receiver that you're drafting on this team, and you're getting him late too. But 1 reception, 13 yards. I think it's a meh, meh,
Yeah.
meh. I think you're out on Robert Woods. You're taking a chance on Traylon Burks. Other than that, in this offense, I think you're waiting heavy on someone to step
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
congratulations.
Giants pull off a week 1 upset.
Yeah. Okay. Change over here. Buccaneers Cowboys is where we're going.
Yeah.
Just putting our putting our videos together here. We get a limited amount of time. And so Nick, I'll let you start it as far as our conversation on the Buccaneers.
18 for 27, for 212, a touchdown and a pick for Brady. Not the best night.
No, didn't wow you.
Yeah, definitely didn't wow you.
Don't think he had to though.
No, but I'll be honest, the Cowboys did give him trouble in the red zone. They could not, finish. He had that nice slick pass to Mike Evans, and Evans made a nice one-handed catch on it for the touchdown. That was real slick. But other than that, really, I mean, nothing too crazy. But I mean,
no, you're right.
Fournette impressed me. 21 carries, 127 yards. That's 6 yards a carry. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't get the touchdown, but the Buccaneers only scored 1 touchdown, and that was to Mike Evans. So I think he will get his touchdowns. I think that's if he's getting 127 yards every game, he's getting at least 1 touchdown.
Absolutely. You have to feel great as a Leonard Fournette owner because he was that guy, in like the 4th round that you were like, I guess I'll take Leonard Fournette. And then he comes out here with 21 for 127. Like, you're like,
Yeah.
great.
And he also adds on 2 receptions for 10 yards. That's just a little extra 3 points. I mean, nothing crazy like out of the backfield, but when you're getting 21 carries for 127, you ain't complaining.
Absolutely. And it was his backfield solely, which made you feel really, really good too.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would have added on the Tom Brady thing was came out looking really, really good. And like you said, till they got to the red zone, then it was kind of like everything always stalled out.
Yep.
But did look good. Like, I mean, like they were running like 15-yard outs and 20-yard hitch routes and stuff. I mean, like they were making it look easy till they got to that point.
Yeah.
But I'll let you talk about the wide receivers.
If you were a Mike Evans owner, you were happy. Ish. Only 5 receptions, but 71 yards and a touchdown. That makes you feel a lot better about it. But also this is only with Brady throwing it 27 times. He's gonna throw it more than that a lot of times. I feel like.
Oh, absolutely. I think you have to. I think you have to assume that Brady is going to sling it every once in a while.
Yeah, and I think Mike Evans or Julio Jones are going to be the guy who's going to sling it to the most. Now, Julio Jones, I don't know how many targets he had, but 3 receptions for 69. That's you're feeling okay about that.
Had five targets.
5 targets.
So second on the team.
Yeah, second on the team in targets with Tom Brady as his quarterback. That's not, and it's just the name Julio Jones. You know there's potential for something at all times.
Yeah, and had the deep ball for 48 yards at one point, doing what Julio Jones has been always known to do best. Chris Godwin, God, do not play him. Like, God, he's hurt. Like, do not do that. And then, of course, he doesn't even like mess with his knee. He actually like pulls his hamstring. So I'm gonna rename some of my teams the Hamstring Harrys or something. I don't know. 3 balls for 35 on all 3 targets. Like, obviously they still got that connection, but dude, there is just no reason. Like, I don't think there's any reason to play him in this game.
No, especially not any, like in the second half. When you're up 12-3 going in the second half, you're and like I don't know why. I don't know why you play in the beginning. Why rush him back? It's week 1.
Yeah.
Like, why rush him back?
It's just one of those things. I don't know. But I think it's pretty obvious if those three guys are on the field, Evans, Jones, and Godwin, Russell Gage is not an option that you can go for. 2 balls for 13. He just does not have the name of those other three guys.
No, yeah.
And then you got Cameron Brate down there for tight end, 1 ball for 7 yards on 3 targets. I just think that the time of the tight end is over for Tom Brady. He loves
Yeah.
these wide receivers.
Yeah.
Loves them.
I mean, I think you're feeling good about Fournette, Evans, and possibly Julio.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I think you're expecting more from Brady in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and you'll get that.
Yeah.
They go to the Saints next week. Then they go to the Buccaneers, the Chiefs. So I mean, they got some good matchups coming up, and some teams that could be a little competitive with them.
Yeah.
So guess we'll see. And then we can hustle on over to the Cowboys and talk about the elephant in the room here.
Hold on. I'll pretend I'm Stephen A for a minute.
All right.
How about them boys? I mean, not to kick a man while they're down, but they sucked. That was awful. 14 for 29 for 134, no touchdowns and a pick for Dak is pitiful.
If you just watched, let's say you watched the first 10 minutes of the game and your power went out and it cuts back on when the game's over, you're probably like, all right, well, how many points did the Cowboys score? Because Zeke gashing the Buccaneers defense.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott, 7 or 8 yards per completion, just moving the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Stall out for a field goal. That's all.
They did nothing.
Dak Prescott, 14 for 29, literally less than 50%, 134 and 1 interception. Hurt his hand though. Me and Nick were just talking about it. He just saw it. I saw it today too. Out 6 to 8 weeks, getting surgery. Cooper Rush comes in 7 for 13 for 64 yards. Game's pretty much over at that point. Cooper Rush is not the answer at quarterback for Dallas. If you want to make the playoffs this year, I'm sorry. 6 to 8 weeks is a long time. Even if it's 6 weeks, that's a long time. If you're 1 and 6 or something, because you got 6 more games, that's 7 games total at least. Let's say you're 1 and 6 when he comes back. Are you expecting Dak just to go undefeated and go 11 and 6 and finish this thing off?
Yeah, I mean,
not the Cowboys.
No.
already down your left tackle.
Not them boys.
Gosh, and then Michael Gallup's not there right now. CeeDee Lamb, poor old feller, 11 targets but 2 receptions. What? Like the Dallas Cowboys gave every hater what they wanted in this game, except for Zeke. 10 carries, 52 yards, 5.2 a carry. Only had a 7-yard long, but it felt like every single run he had was 5 to 7 yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he looked great. The only thing I can say is I know they want to get Tony Pollard involved. Zeke, maybe Zeke just isn't going to be able to handle 3 downs of work, and they just have to take him out. He's just not that guy anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Zeke should be used for at least 1 down every set.
Oh yeah, Zeke should be getting the ball on first down pretty much.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Whether that's a screen pass or running it. I think Zeke probably should get the ball.
And that hurt my feelings that he only had 1 reception for -3 yards. Zeke is a pretty decent pass catcher out of the backfield too. I know what they're trying to do. I know they're trying to get Tony Pollard involved. 2 catches for 14, had 6 carries for 8. They had a lot of weird plays, and I was listening to a show on the way home. It seemed like Dallas was trying so hard to feature these no-name, lower-level wide receivers in their game plan instead of just doing what the Raiders did with Devontae Adams and just sling the ball to CeeDee. Just keep doing it until it works. And
yeah,
I mean, but 11 targets, 2 receptions, 29 yards. Very disappointing. Dak's hurt. Red button. Slam it. slam it right now because there's a problem in Dallas, and it's called I don't have a quarterback to throw CeeDee Lamb anymore.
Now, I'm gonna say this: maybe don't start him, but hold on to him for a couple weeks
Oh,
at
for sure.
least to
Nobody's
see if they,
dropping him.
yeah, to see if they
Yeah.
trade for somebody. Now, if by if like by like week 9 they're like 1-8,
Well, by
and
then
they
you're
and
gonna
they
have
ain't
Dak
traded for,
Prescott back, so
yeah, but I mean,
you're
one and
holding
a,
you're holding CD. I don't think you can get rid of CD at all. Like period. Like I'm sorry, I just don't like if you can somehow hold it together with if you've got a couple guys that hit on your wide receiver group for sure, you can't trade him right now because he has no value.
yeah,
So you're not going to get anything back. Now, what you could do is target the CD Lamb owner right now
hmm,
because he thinks he needs somebody.
yeah.
So that's one thing you could do. I'll say this though, Dalton Schultz didn't feel bad about him. 7 balls for 62 yards.
Well, I
I feel
didn't
like,
feel bad about him, but I do now.
well, if anybody's going to get his, I think it will be Dalton Schultz because he is that 7, 8 yard guy right across the middle. If anybody's going to get the ball, it might be him.
I guess.
And we could be wrong.
I still think that CD needs to be the most targeted receiver. Whoever's, I don't care if my grandma's a quarterback, he still needs to be getting the
Well,
targets.
with Cooper Rush coming in, if Cooper Rush is what they stick with, it will be the Dalton Schultz and CD Lamb show. And after that, you can forget it as
I'll
far
be
as
honest.
receiving.
I'll be honest. I think, yeah, Zeke's gonna have to step up if they're gonna go the Cooper Rush
But
route.
gosh, he's going to go right back to facing 7-man boxes, and then everybody's going to dog him the whole year about the fact that he can't get it done. I feel so. Dude, I just feel bad for the Cowboys right now, man. Cowboys fans are
Oh,
reeling, bro.
I don't feel well. If your dad's watching this, I'm sorry. I don't feel bad for the Cowboys fans. Every time they win, all I hear at work is "How about them boys?" And then finally, when they lost in the playoffs last year, I got to come in and say, "Hey, how about them boys?"
Yeah.
But God Almighty, it just kills me. I can't root for the Cowboys. I'm sorry. I
All
won't.
right.
I won't give them a negative review, but they're they're in big trouble if they don't make some kind of upgrade at quarterback.
And everybody's obvious choice is Jimmy G.
Yeah,
Obviously, like everybody's like immediately running out Jimmy G, Jimmy G, Jimmy G. Um, I don't know of anybody at the beginning of a season like this that's just going to be willing to sell off their starter
yeah.
for nothing. Um, Long shot situation. God, and this is a name I didn't even think about throwing up till just right this second.
Yeah.
Maybe Joe Flacco? Because the Jets know that Zach Wilson's going to come back in a couple weeks anyway. Joe Flacco's a guy that like for everything, like it just wasn't good. Like in week 1, 307 for a touchdown and interception against a very formidable Baltimore defense with Corey Davis and a bunch of rookies and a second year guy.
Look, it was a freak accident, all right. Joe Flacco has been carried by a good rushing game and an
Joe Flacco won
amazing
an
defense.
MVP. Joe Flacco won
Joe
an MVP.
Joe Flacco has been carried by an incredible rushing game and a great defense with the Ravens. I don't want to hear it. He's not a good quarterback. It was an accident how
Listen,
good he was this week.
you ain't going. Listen, you're going out there to get somebody's backup. You ain't going out there to get a great quarterback right now. You're going out there to get a
Yeah, I
serviceable
mean,
backup.
I know you're not trying to trade for Patrick Mahomes, but God Almighty, I think you could just sign a free agent that's better than Joe Flacco.
Um, I don't think the Falcons are willing to get rid of Marcus Mariota because they almost beat the Saints.
Yeah, they're
Then you
feeling good about
go the
themselves. Well, not
49ers might
really,
not be
but
willing to give Jimmy Garoppolo away right now
dude,
because Trey Lance didn't look good.
Jimmy Garoppolo might be starting this week. I mean,
Okay,
really?
the Steelers aren't going to give away Mitchell Trubisky. They just won,
Yeah, they
and
just beat the freaking Bengals.
they want to sit Pickett anyway. Uh, Everybody else, like the Browns just won. They know Brissett. They need Brissett for like 13 weeks. They're not going to do anything about it. Carolina has no one to offer. as far as like Sam Darnold's hurting, you wouldn't want him anyway. That's probably the worst option you could have. I'm not saying it's not like terrible, terrible, but like it
He's
could be
bad
better. It could be better.
for sure.
Um, gosh, man, I just don't. I'm just not excited about like any backup quarterback anywhere. Like Drew Lock for the Seahawks. Anybody? Geno Smith,
Trace McSorley. Trace
Trace
McSorley.
Story. Now I will tell you there is the most impressive rookie out of camp, if I'm not mistaken, and this is a complete and total guess. I think I know this guy. It was a fourth or fifth rounder for the Miami Dolphins quarterback, and
And
he
they got
played,
Tua. They're going to
and
stick
they
with
got
him for a
Tua. You
while.
know, they're never going to worry about anything at quarterback. So, but I think you go with a veteran guy that could get you to 500.
Yeah, get a veteran guy that can. Here, hold on. Who do the Cowboys have
That's
coming?
what we're going to do right now. Bengals next week. That's a loss. Okay. Giants, they could win that game.
Yeah, they can
Commanders,
beat that. They can win that
Commanders,
game too.
they can win that game. Rams,
Yeah. Well, hey, hold on.
hey, hold on.
With
Hold
Stafford
on.
being bad, if Stafford's still terrible, then I mean, unless Cooper Cup just like has 3 60-yard touchdown receptions or something stupid.
Eagles, they get clowned on that game.
Probably, yeah.
Lions,
Lions. I don't know about the Lions. I don't know about the Lions.
dude. Listen, if they get a serviceable veteran quarterback to come out here, I think best case 0-2, maybe 2-2, 2-3, 2-4, 2-5,
Yeesh.
maybe like 3-5, maybe 3-5 by the time Dak could possibly get back, and then by that time, you probably just want to wait on him to for sure 1000% get back. Ah,
Yeah, I
if
mean,
if you're like 4-6, you you just thank the Lord that you made it that far.
yeah, and I think the biggest thing, honestly, is to make sure that Dak is like healthy when he's back. He's not trying. He's not. There's no pain. No weird. Like, because if he's healthy, going 14 for 29, I can't imagine where it'll be when he's hurt.
Exactly, exactly. So I mean, I'm ready to move on if you are, but we
Yeah,
definitely will be talking about that. We may have to give a shout out tomorrow in a video or something real quick if something was to happen with the Cowboys at quarterback.
yeah.
Last game, we talked about it last night that something like this could happen just based on everything that had happened. Seahawks beat the Denver Broncos 17-6.
I'll tell you one person whose fault it wasn't, and that's Russell freaking Wilson.
Nope, not his fault at all.
Not his fault, not one bit. Offensive line sucked. Coaching sucked. They had a minute left on the clock, let it run down to 20 seconds to call a timeout to go for the second longest field goal attempt in NFL history. Now I understand it was 4th and 5, but you're screwed either way. If you're going to lose if you kick the field goal or if you go for it and don't get it.
Yeah,
But if you go
absolutely.
for it and call a timeout real quick, and you can set up another play, get a little bit closer, you have a real shot at kicking that field goal and winning it. But that's just poor coaching and wastes his timeouts at the end when they're doing the victory formation. Like, what a joke! Like,
Yeah, you're not feeling good about it as a Denver fan for sure. You expected
nope.
to come in here and just light the world on fire, and obviously it's just going to take a little bit for your team to get where you think they need to be.
Yeah.
Um, Running back situation interests me a lot. Melvin Gordon led the team in carries, 12 carries, 58 yards, so serviceable for sure, 4.8 yards per
Mm-hmm.
carry. Javonte Williams, 7 carries for 43 yards, 6 yards per carry, 6.1. But you didn't expect Melvin Gordon to get more carries, but then you got Javonte Williams with 11 receptions for 65. So maybe that's the game plan in general is, give Melvin Gordon a couple more carries because we're going to have Javonte all of these designed looks out of the backfield
Yeah.
and with passing the ball.
I'll tell you what. If you're a Javonte Williams owner, you're feeling real good about yourself.
Oh,
Just
absolutely.
the
Oh,
11 receptions alone. That's if he's getting 11 receptions. I don't care if he's only getting 65 yards out of that. That 11 receptions alone is great to go along with his 58 rushing yards and his 65 receiving yards.
Yeah, he had 10.8 points off of his yardage. Throw in the 11 receptions, we play full point PPR. He scored 21 points tonight
And didn't have a touchdown.
and did not have a touchdown. Exactly. That's one of the biggest things right there. And his receptions, it wasn't like there was a big play in there,
Right. It
13,
was
13 yards and 13 yards on his rushes too. So as a long. So like it just methodical, doing what he needs to do. I'm not worried about the wide receivers.
No, Jerry Judy, 4 receptions, 102 yards and a touchdown. Cortland Sutton, 4 receptions, 72 yards. You're not feeling bad, but honestly, I think if you are an owner of them and not an owner of Javonte Williams, you're hoping maybe Javonte Williams goes down to like maybe 6 or 7 receptions, and a couple of the other receptions are going towards Sutton and
Yeah.
Judy.
A good average for a running back is 5 to 6. And he had
Yeah,
11.
yeah,
Um,
that's nuts.
Now, also, you're a Judy owner. I'm a Sutton owner.
Yeah.
We need to cut these other targets out. Okay. Listen, Andrew Beck, nice knowing you. Okay. Albert Okwuegbunam, nice knowing you. Okay. Like 6 targets for this guy. Get this guy out of here. Okay. He's the tight end, number 85. I had some people, I heard him mentioned in a couple places before this took place, but like I just think that the pie, like you had a bunch of guys get 1 target too. I think the pie needs to get a little smaller in Denver. Poor
Yeah.
old KJ Hamler didn't even get targeted, and he's supposed to be their deep threat. And I'm going to tell you what right now, it was weird. Jerry Judy almost got underthrown on that touchdown pass. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So like a very underthrown ball, Judy catches the ball and literally just outlegs the crap out of that DB. Like if you're a Judy owner, you had to feel really good about the athleticism of it. Just
I'm telling you what, if Judy gets into open field, there's not many people that can beat him in a foot race.
no, that was
He
that
is
was just
quick.
speed.
He is quick.
That was just speed and more speed for sure.
That's really the thing. Like if he can get some separation on people, he'll get you an extra 15, 20 yards. And if not, he just go the distance. Yeah, it's like 4 receptions. He averaged 25 and a half yards of reception. That's just nuts to me.
Okay.
But all right, let's go over to the biggest surprise of the night for me.
Yeah, and not a serviceable, like great fantasy night, but 23 for 28. This guy's trying to win games.
195 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Dude, if the Seahawks are getting that out of Geno Smith, they will be decent.
Absolutely. And you got a defense in Denver that is supposed to be like all this, and they only got to him 2 times.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about hurries or anything like that. Don't know those stats, but 2 sacks, you're fine with that against a Denver defense that's supposed to be absolutely disgusting. As far as running backs, Rashad Penny doing Rashad Penny things, 5 yards a carry, 12 carries, 60 yards. You felt pretty good about starting him. However, he just didn't have a good fantasy day.
Yeah.
Only 2 catches. He's not going to catch the ball out of the backfield, so you're hoping for a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
But then you were going against the Denver defense, so I don't think you could expect just a ton today out of him.
I think one thing that worries me a little bit, but it also makes me not worry as much, is DK Metcalf getting 7 receptions. But the 36 yards is what scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf should be athletic enough to get some yards after the catch.
Yeah.
And if he can't, I know this is a good Denver defense. So maybe against a bad defense, Geno Smith might look even better. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to expect after this week.
Yeah, it seemed like they were being a little conservative with play calling wise. They're not calling too many deep balls down the field. The two deep ball guys, Tyler Lockett and Marquise Goodwin, just absolute burners and deep threats for sure. 3 for 28 and 2 for 22, both having 17 and 16 longs. The longest, but Will Dissly with a 38 yard catch had the touchdown, 3 for 43 total. But that's not that, that's one of those things where he just got wide open and
Yeah,
you couldn't help but throw him the ball in that situation.
right.
That wasn't something you were actually looking for. So I do assume that the Seahawks keep it simple with Geno even after this game. They play the 49ers next week. They've proven to be, beatable.
Oh, for sure.
Seahawks, and then they play the Falcons. The Seahawks could be 3-0.
Dude, Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. Calling it
Oh
now.
goodness, Pete Carroll would be goaded
Dude,
forever.
hey, him and Belichick. I saw today. Him and Belichick it's the first time ever in an NFL season where there were two coaches that were 70 or older. Like in the same year, and they were both 70, older than dirt.
Yep. I don't I don't know, man. A weird week for the NFL.
A lot
Um,
of weird close game upsets.
yeah, for sure. I the two major things that you're watching for right now, as far as injuries go, you're watching the Dak Prescott situation. Will Dallas go get a quarterback? And now the Najee Harris situation actually came back with some news today. X-rays were negative on the foot. So could be just a bad bruise, could be just out 3 to 4 weeks. I don't think they're going out to get a guy anyway. They were kind of, if they're starting a very salary cap friendly Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback. They're not looking to, you know, break the bank this year anyway on a playoff run, even
Yeah,
after a week one upset of the Bengals.
yeah. I think they might also at the same time realize that it was kind of a freak day for Burrow, 4 picks and a fumble.
Yeah, you're just really happy about what your defense got done,
Yeah,
So,
but you can't rely on your defense to have 4 picks and like 2 or 3 forced fumbles in every game.
oh, absolutely. The stats still matched the Bengals for that
Yeah.
game. But no, that's the two, I guess. That's the two, I guess, injury situations that I'm kind of
Yeah.
kind of looking at going forward. I know there's several more.
Hmm.
But you know, tomorrow, Nick, tell them what we're going to talk about tomorrow because I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually really excited about it.
Tomorrow we're gonna do an updated MLB power rankings for y'all. We're just gonna do the top 15. And we had tried to do this a few weeks ago. We're not gonna talk about that anymore. Yeah. Had a big argument, but here we are today. But we're gonna get it out for y'all. We're gonna do top 15 teams just because bottom 15 just aren't really in contention anymore. I think there's already been 5 or 6 teams eliminated from playoff contention, so
Yeah,
it's about that time. Those teams are looking forward to next year's draft. That's what they're looking forward to. You
exactly.
know,
Exactly. But I'm looking forward to it just because I
for
think
sure.
it is time to really think about who's going to push here at the end, and we can
Yep,
give a good conversation about that. I don't
for
know how many
sure.
games specifically are left. Is it around the 20 range?
It's around the 20-ish mark for most
Okay,
teams.
most teams. I thought so. Okay, so I mean it's right down to it. I know that it's probably gonna make some people upset, but when the MLB playoffs hit, we will be really heavy on the MLB postseason.
Yes.
I think you have to give that.
Oh yeah. Any postseason. It's just like the NFL postseason. We're gonna cover that over any like baseball offseason stuff unless there's some kind of huge
Yeah,
free
and
agency
then
signing.
and then March Madness in March, we're
Yeah.
gonna cover
Right.
that
Oh
over
yeah.
whatever else we had
Absolutely.
going on. So I
Absolutely.
mean, you have got to get excited for those times of year. So,
Oh yeah.
and I think a lot of people were excited for the postseason last year in
Oh
baseball.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
For sure.
looking forward to it tomorrow.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you all for watching.
Yep. Like,
There's Yeah,
subscribe.
like and subscribe. There's gonna be a video under Colby that y'all need to watch, and there's gonna be an option to subscribe right below me. You just gotta tap it and it'll subscribe just like that. All
All right.
right. Thank y'all.
Thanks.